For the first time in history, the United States faces the risk of a war with two nuclear powers at the same time, China and Russia. And simultaneously fighting them would be very difficult, despite American military capabilities. The assessment was made by the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff of the U.S. Armed Forces, Mark Milley, the country's top general. It is alarmist and alarming in equal measures. The military made it to ask for the approval of the largest defense budget in the history of its country. Milley and Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin were heard by the House Armed Services Committee on the Joe Biden administration's request for an $824 billion bill for the 2024 fiscal year, October next year. Thus, alarmism fits well to sensitize congressmen. But the declarations are alarming, at the same time, because there is an ongoing war in Ukraine sponsored by Vladimir Putin, the biggest ally of the Chinese Xi Jinping, all locked in the scope of Cold War 2.0. Both China and Russia have the means to threaten U.S. national security. But history is not deterministic, and war with them is neither inevitable nor imminent, Milley said, putting his feet more firmly on the ground. Be that as it may, in his presentation he outlined all the ongoing risk elements. He said, for example, that Putin continues to use irresponsible nuclear rhetoric and posturing while Russia conducted one of the largest intercontinental missile exercises in recent history, with 3,000 men in the center of the country. From time to time it is what Milley described as the largest and most modern atomic arsenal in the world, comparable to the U.S. Both countries hold just over 90% of the 13,000 warheads scattered around the world. Of these, per treaty now suspended by Russia, there are about 1,600 ready for use at any time by both sides. China comes third, according to the Federation of American Scientists, with 410 in stock, while Western allies France and the United Kingdom have 290 and 225, respectively. Milley spoke about growing Chinese capabilities. China has thousands of local-range missiles in its arsenals, which would be difficult for the U.S. to contain with its current inventory, he said, advocating investment in hypersonic and other weapons. The potential for armed conflict is growing. China remains our number one long-term geostrategic security challenge, citing Beijing's military expansion in the Indo-Pacific and U.S. countermeasures such as patrols. He asked for more ships, of course, in the AUKUS military pact, which will supply nuclear submarines to Australia. Milley also recalled that the alliance sealed before the war in 2022, and reinforced with Xi Jinping's visit to Putin last week, can be reinforced if Iran becomes a nuclear power. The general said the Ayatollah's regime, aligned with both Moscow and Beijing, can produce fissile material for a bomb in 2 weeks and a weapon in months. He also spoke about North Korea, citing the acceleration of the missile and nuclear weapons program of the Kim Jong-un dictatorship, which the day before had presented what would be a new atomic warhead small enough to equip its intercontinental rockets capable of reaching the USA. There is nothing more expensive than fighting a war. And preparing for war is also very expensive, but fighting one is more. Preparing for war will stop this war, he said, paraphrasing the Roman writer Flavio Vegetius, se vis pacem, para bellum, or if you want peace, prepare for war. The U.S. already has, by far, the highest military spending in the world. In 2022, according to the International Institute for Strategic Studies, they spent $767 billion on defense, compared to $242 billion for second place, China, and $88 billion for third, Russia. The world spent a total of $1.97 trillion in the sector. No country projects so much power. Of its 1.36 million military personnel, 250,000 are stationed abroad. Its fleet of 11 nuclear-powered aircraft carriers is unique, bringing firepower to any point on the planet, not to mention an atomic arsenal. Operational readiness today is higher now than it has been in many years. Currently, 60% of our active force is in the highest state of readiness and can be deployed in less than 30 days. 10% of our force can be employed in less than 96 hours, he said.